in a Word document on your computer. You can do it on a piece of paper. I'm old school. I like to use just a yellow pad and write on it. Either way, whether you want to do it in notes on your phone or in Word, new school or old school doesn't matter. Just get out a piece of paper, and what you want to do is write at the top of that, money needed. Okay, so that's your title of the document, and then on the left side going down, if you want, you could put 4 columns if you like making tables or you want to use Excel. First column on the left side of the paper, just write. And here, I'll even do it in person while we're recording this. On the left side, just write use of money. What's it going to be used for? Maybe there's marketing. Maybe there's buy product. Maybe there's pay staff. Maybe there's hire vendors. That might be someone to build your website, someone to do other things for you with your company, maybe someone to develop a new product for you, a prototype, whatever that might be. So on the left side of the paper, write down the things you're going to use the money that you raise for. Be very specific. The more specific, the better. And then in the second, they're going to have 3 columns after that. Just label one of them M, one of them T, and one O. So your minimum, target, optimum. Okay. So for marketing, say you want to you figure $5,000 of marketing would be enough, bare bones, to get the word out. And say your target would be 7,000. Your optimum would be 10K plus. So there's your MTO for marketing. 5,000 minimum, 7,000 target, 10,000 optimum. Okay, and you just do that for each category by product. You think it will, right now you're doing $10,000 a month of business, and you'd like to be doing $20,000 a month of business. So maybe by product would be 8K, and extra. You'd like to double your business. Target would be 10K because you're buying 10,000 a month now. You want to buy 20,000, so target would be 10K, and optimum would be 15K. Okay, so that would be by product. Pay staff, you just put those numbers in and hire vendors. Once you get done, let's just do a couple more examples. Pay staff. Say you want to hire 2 new staff people. They're going to cost $2,000 a month each salary, and whatchamacallit, that's $4,000 a month. So for 3 months pay, you figure they'll start paying for themselves within, let's say within 2 months, that's $8,000. So you would need a minimum of 8. Let's say target is 12. That covers 3 months of their salary. And optimum would be 16K. That would cover 4 months of their salary before they start producing profit. And doing work that you're doing now, that you could use that time to be doing more profitable activities. And the fourth thing would be hire vendors. Say you can hire someone for, you need to hire 2 different vendors. On the low end, you can hire some people for only 4K. Target would be 6K. Optimal would be 10K. Maybe you have some better, more expensive vendors. So there's your numbers. We have our MTO for all 3. Now just add those up. We have 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 4, 21, 25. So 25K is minimum. Now granted, these are very low numbers. Typically it's going to be higher. Now granted, this is even just for a month. If you want to do it to raise 2 months worth of money, you just double your minimum. Or if you wanted to raise 3 months worth of expenses and money, you might want to triple it. We got 7, 10, 12, 22, 29 plus 6, 35K, and optimum is 10, 20, 35, 45, 51,000. Okay, so we got 25, 35, and 51 MTO, just with this example I used. Write in your own numbers. So this was basically 1 month worth of expenses. Say you needed 90 days of expenses. Just to give yourself breathing room. You don't want to only give yourself 30 days to put this money to use, and it has to start paying you right away. So let's just go ahead and we can triple these numbers for 90 days worth of expenses. And granted, to pay the staff already was for 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. But just to ballpark it and give ourselves breathing room, we'll just triple it. So we have 75K minimum. we have 115,000 target and 150K optimum. So the MTO in this example for how much money you need is 75,000, 115, or 150. So if we wanted, we could even just say 75, 120, and 150 to make it even numbers if you want. So there's your MTO, minimum target optimum. You're going to hear me say that phraseology a lot, MTO. So just start thinking in terms of that. And I learned that from Anthony Robbins, which is one of the best business trainers in the world. Always have minimum target and optimum numbers for your business plans. So now that we have those numbers, congratulations. Your first set of numbers is done. How much money do you need? The second thing that we need to calculate is what can you make with that money. So what I want you to do is on this website, you can pause this video, open up the document. There's a document on this page here called Use of Money Calculator. I want you to open the Use of Money Calculator and open that up. That's going to be an Excel document. So there's a few fields at the top section there that you can fill in. Now again, remember, if you don't like math, don't worry about it. I'm going to guide you now through what numbers to put in each one of those sections. So it's going to be very simple. Just follow along with me as I explain an area. Just write out your numbers, pause the video, and fill in those numbers on the document. When you're done with that section, return to this video, play it again, follow my instructions on how to fill out the next section. And there's only 3 sections to fill out, so there's not a lot to do. First of all, look at the top section. It says use of money, and then it says project on the left, or funds needed. So I want you to fill out your MTOs from left to right, okay? So say, let's say that you're a wholesaler, you're buying some nutritional products and you're selling them for a greater amount than you buy them for, and that's what you do. So you might be selling it on Amazon, you might be selling it in your own retail store, your own nutritional supplement store, or you might be selling it somewhere else, just through your own website. So your MTO, on the left, you put project would be supplement wholesaling. There's your description. And then you would put, in all 3 lines, there's 3 lines there, put your MTO. Our numbers were, in my example, 75, 120, or 150. So you put 75, 120, or 150 on the top line. Second line, again, 75, 120, 150. And the third line, 75, 120, 150. So just fill in the same numbers in all 3 lines. Okay? That's the first section. In the second section, it talks about average ROI, target ROI, or what you expect to make with the money. So you're going to fill that section out, MTO, top to bottom. So in the first column, now here's the thing. If you're already in business, you probably know what kind of margins you make. An ROI is the same thing as a net profit margin. In every business, if you put $10,000 into expenses and say $10,000 worth of products and or $10,000 in marketing, and then you know that if you invest $10,000 in marketing, you can sell $40,000 worth of products. That's 400% ROI, right? However, you have expenses to deduct from that. You have your cost of staff, your cost of marketing, your cost of the electric bill, your cable internet, the cost of paying your salespeople if you have salespeople, the cost of buying the product itself, and the cost of shipping that product. Those would be most of your expenses. So say you end up with a net 30% margin in your supplement business. So if you buy $10,000 worth of products and sell them, then you've made a net 30% margin. That's $3,000 profit. So you want to calculate that, and if you know your percentages in a range between minimum and optimum, just write those down. If you don't know your percentages yet, there are 2 ways to calculate it. Number 1, just do the math. If you're going to put in that same example, let's just go ahead and say $100,000, make it an even number. If you're going to put $100,000 into a venture and you're buying supplements, and you know that, hey, on the low end, after all expenses, you can make 30 grand on that. Your target is to make 45 grand, and ideally you'd like to make 60 grand or more, okay? So how you would calculate that is the following. If you can make 30 grand on it, you just take 30 grand divided by how much money you put into it, 100. 30 grand is a profit, and you end up with 0.3. So that's a 30% profit margin. So that would be your M number. Target would be, say, what did I say, 45? So your target would be 45. 45,000 divided by 100,000 is 0.45. So there's a 45% profit margin. And then the last number would be 60 grand or more. 60 divided by 100 is 0.6. So it would be a 60% profit margin. You don't have to calculate it over to percentages. Whatever you end up with, point whatever, just write that right into the document. So in that example, your M would be, in the first column, you'd write 0.3, 0.45, 0.6. That's your MTO going down. Second column, same thing. 0.3, 0.45, 0.6, and in the last column, 0.3, 0.45, 0.6. If you're not used to thinking in terms of the profit, some people who buy real estate think in terms of, hey, I can buy a house for 50 grand on average, and I can sell it between 70 and 80 grand on average. So in that kind of example, you would just take 50 grand as the initial investment, 70 grand selling price. You do two steps on that. You'd first of all take 70 grand minus 50 is 20. So there's 20% profit. Then you take 20 and you divide it by that same 50 purchase price, profit divided by cost, and that equals your profit margin. So 0.2 divided by 0.5 would be 0.4. 20 divided by 50 is 0.4. So that's a 40% profit margin as a minimum. Let's say, they could even say your minimum might be sell it for 65, target is 70, optimal would be 80 or more. So that's 65, you make 15. 15 divided by 50 would be 0.3. So 30% minimum margin. 70 is 20 minus 50 would be 20,000. 20,000 divided by 50 is 0.4. And then 80 grand would be 80 minus 50, 30,000 profit. 30,000 profit divided by the 50,000 cost, you end up with 0.6. So whatever, those are the second way you can calculate it. If you don't know your margins in terms of percentages, think of your margins in terms of what profit can I make, or what can I buy this item for, what can I sell it for, what's the margin. Okay, it's the second category. So I'll go ahead and pause this video now and figure out and do that math now, either on a percentage basis if you know it already, or in terms of what you think you can buy it for and what you can sell it for. Now, if you're already in business, you should know those numbers. If you haven't calculated those numbers, you're going to get a lot of clarity through calculating those numbers now. If you're new and going into a new venture where you're not sure about the numbers, I haven't forgot about you. What you want to do is look at industry average. Go to Google, do some Google searching, and look, just Google search. Typical net profit margin, comma, whatever the industry is. Grocery store, supplement wholesaling, nutritional supplement wholesaling. Be very specific in your Google searches, and you can find information on the industry averages. The government keeps statistics on those kind of things, and there are a lot of different sources where you can find out about those things. So calculate that second section. What are your margins, your profit margins in terms of minimum, target, optimum? And again, go highest to lowest for minimum, target, optimum. You're not going left to right like in the first section. Okay. So minimum, target, optimum, minimum, target, optimum, minimum, target, optimum, profit margin. Okay. Now the third section, so the last thing you got to fill out, the rest of this is going to auto-calculate for you, is your average holding time. Now what that means is, let's use an example of the nutritional supplements again. If you can buy a supplement today, and on average you can sell all of them between 30 and 60 days, then your minimum, your optimum would be you can sell it in only 30 days. Your minimum would be in 60 days. That's your maximum hold time. So, and maybe your target is somewhere in the middle, 45 days. So if you can sell the product within 30 to 60 days, then just do 30, 45, 60 as your range of hold time. Okay. Say you're doing real estate wholesaling, a lot of wholesalers, their typical hold time is 30, 60, or 90 days. So in that case, your minimum would be 90 days hold time. That's your longest hold time. Your target would be 60 days. Your optimum would be only 30 days hold time. Okay? So think about those amounts of time it would take you to sell whatever product you're going to buy. Okay? If it's a service you're delivering, how long will it take you to deliver the service in a range? 2 to 3 months, 1 to 3 months, 3 to 5 months, 3, 4, 5. Whatever that hold time is, write that down. There's one caveat with this section. If your range is 60, 75, or 90 days, say you're doing real estate wholesaling, and you can sell that property, or it's 30, 60, 90 days, 30 days is not your minimum. The smallest number of hold time is not your minimum. It's actually your optimum. So you just have to flip it. Whatever your longest number of days are, list that first. Okay? Because that's going to be like basically your minimum profit, because you have to hold that product longer. Your target is the middle number, and then your optimum is your shortest number of days. Okay? So here's how to calculate that. Whatever that number of days is, you divide 30, which is the number of days in 1 month, divided by how many days it's going to take you to sell. Okay? So your hold time, basically, if you could sell it in 1 month, it would be 30 days divided by 30. Now that would be your optimum number. Again, your optimum number is over to the right. Okay? So again, we're doing MTO left to right now. Okay? So your minimum number would be the largest number of holding days. So think of it either way that you want. Okay, selling every. I always think in terms of selling every 90 days, 60 days, or selling every 30 days. That would be your MTO. Okay, so. And again, and forgive me, I might have to edit this part out. I'm forgetting now if the MTO is going down or over again. I believe it's going over. So let's look at MTO left to right. So your minimum would be the longest number of days that you're holding the item. Let's say in this case, real estate would be 90 days. So you take 30 divided by 90 days. That's going to give you 0.33. So you put 0.3 in that first column there, the first field. Second field over, your target would be 60 days. So you take 30 divided by 60, you get 0.5. That would be your target holding time. And then optimum would be 30 days. So 30 days divided by 30 is 1. So you just put 1 in that third column. So in that case, for real estate wholesaling, 30, 60, or 90 days, you're going to have 0.33, 0.5, or 1 MTO going left to right in all three rows. So 0.33, 0.51, 0.33, 0.51, 0.33, 0.51. So go ahead and calculate and determine your number of days. Write those down. You can write them down right on the document, selling every blank, blank, or blank days. Put the longest number of days first. Okay? So in that real estate example, it'd be selling every 90 days, 60 days, or 30 days. So put the number of days highest to lowest at the top of that heading, and then calculate those numbers by taking 30 divided by whatever each of those numbers are and writing them in. So go ahead and pause the video now. Calculate your numbers. For every number you calculate, write it into the first field. Then calculate the second number, write it into the second field. Calculate the third number, write it into the third field. One last time, take the largest number of days that you think it would take you to sell it. Take 30 divided by that number. Write that number in the first column on the left. Go ahead and pause the video now and do that. Welcome back. You've calculated your minimum number. Now let's calculate your target. Take your target number, say that was 60 days. Take 30 divided by whatever your target number of days is. Write that number in the second field, just to the right of the first one. Pause the video and do that now. And again, welcome back. Now for the third number, take your shortest number of days and take 30 divided by whatever that number of days is and write that number in the third field on the right. Go ahead and pause the video, Calculate that now and write that in. Great job. Welcome back. So now to complete this last section, just do that in all 3 rows for the average hold time or turnover of the money. So once you've completed these 3 sections, you should notice that this is an Excel document and auto calculates the last 2 sections. And that is going to show you your minimum target optimum profits on a annualized basis and your minimum target optimum profits on a monthly basis.